Well, I'm out on the fast road today. Haven't been out on this for a while. Been a little bit neglected, really. And for no particular reason, they've changed this to a 20-mile-an-hour limit. Which means I get stuck behind the cars now. A little bit frustrating because there's a hill straight afterwards and you like to get a run up. And of course, just for a change, it's raining again. But yeah, as I said, the fast road has been neglected. A couple of little jobs I want to do, haven't got around to. And having 3 bikes. Fact is, yeah, I didn't do that little adjustment that I wanted to, so I'll just take one of the other bikes. One of the jobs I want to do is change the front mech to 105 because the Sora has a single-sided pull mechanism and it requires quite a lot of effort and quite a long throw of the lever. And it does make it a bit difficult. So, decided to do that, but it means a new lever. And that's where the stumbling block has come. Because they're very difficult to come by. And if you do, they are incredibly expensive. Because a 2-position lever for the front costs 3 times as much as the 11 speed for the rear. But the fast road has been out on a few short rides. And my wife has decided to learn to ride a bike. Can you believe it? She's never ridden a bike before. Not even as a child. I won't tell you how old she is, but the first digit is a 5. So she decided to learn to ride in her own way. First of all, she got a folding bike because she wanted the more upright riding position. And I encouraged her because you've got to buy the bike, or at least start with. I mean, she bought it second hand. It wasn't a lot of money. You've got to start with a bike you feel comfortable with, because otherwise it's going to put you off. If she decides she wants a different type of bike later on, that's fine. But you've got to start where you feel comfortable. And I think sometimes people are encouraged to do things because more experienced people tell them that that's the way to do it. And it's true. And you need to find it out for yourself. And then we watched a couple of YouTube videos and people saying go to a park and find a flat surface and preferably paved. And she said no to that too. We've got a little alley down the side of our house. Takes you out to the back gate. And so you've got the house on one side and the fence on the other. And she decided that's where she would rather learn. She felt more comfortable, more secure. And that's fine. And you know what? It worked. So she walked the bike and then kicked off on the pedals. Did that for about 3 weeks until she got her balance. Then we went up to a park with a big car park, but very few people go there. And she rode around there and she took off like Barry Sheen. After 13 years of absolute mismanagement from the worst government in history. Now they look set to lose the next election. Suddenly all the roads are being repaired. So now my wife goes out and rides every couple of days, and we do 2.5 miles. So I've been going out with her on the Fastroad. I had a colleague ask me the other day for a bike recommendation. Somebody I didn't know had any interest whatsoever in cycling. But he said yes, he's keen, he wants to get a bike. And he does a lot of walking, he wants to give cycling a try. Like a lot of people. He said, I don't want to ride on the road. And that's understandable, because let's be honest, car drivers hate us, and they have this unbelievable sense of entitlement, leads them to think that they take priority on the road over everybody else. I discussed that in a video not long ago. And look at the volume of traffic wherever you go now, even on a country lane at off-peak times. There's just cars everywhere. And that again is down to our completely useless government that refuses to provide any public transport. So my colleague said he wanted to ride off-road, but he's not a young man. He doesn't want to do all this downhill and single track stuff. You know, cycle paths, that kind of thing. And I said, well, what you need is a gravel bike. And I told him I had a checkpoint and a revolt. Told him all about them. And he drew breath. And he said, oh, didn't really want to spend that much money. Especially not on the first bike. Until I know whether I like it. I said, well, in that case, it's difficult not to recommend the Fastroad, because as I've mentioned before, it is one of cycling's best bargains. I mean, even an SL2, I've upgraded mine, I know, but for most people, the Sora group set will work fine. And if you want to go for an SL1, you get 105, and that's not that much more money. Plus the fact it's quite often specials, and it just really is a very competent bike. Really nice to ride. And there's no question that if you're starting out, flat bar is easier to get on with, and especially when you're negotiating your way through cycle bars and dog walkers and that sort of thing. And as for capability, this bike has done it all. I've been downhill on a dual carriageway at 40 miles an hour on this bike. And I've also been uphill on a single track gravel path. And with these Terreno Terreno Zero tyres, it works well on the road, and it works well off-road. I've got 35mm wide tyres on, so it's comfortable. I'll run the pressures a bit lower. So this bike is capable, it's comfortable, it's cost effective, it's light, and it's fast. What's not to love? And I know it sometimes gets neglected in favour of the other bikes, But every time I get on it, I really just enjoy riding it. And it is really easy to ride. So, would you recommend your bike to someone else? I certainly would mine. Right, I think it's time to stop and put my rain jacket on. When I get up, the weather app on my phone told me it was raining, but it wasn't. Well, I mean, you know, I looked out the window. It also told me there's a yellow weather warning in place today for heavy rain. So perhaps they were right about that, it's just a bit later than they thought. And then they said, I say they because I'm still old, you know, I still think of weather forecasters. But the weather app said, dry tomorrow. I thought, oh, that's nice, I'll have a good ride tomorrow then. And then an hour later, he said, oh no, change of plan. It will be back to normal tomorrow with monsoon rain. So, if you only had one bike, I think the Fastroad would be it. I mean, I love my other bikes, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't want to be without them. And really, I wouldn't want to only have one bike. But what I'm saying is, if circumstances dictated that you could only have one, this one certainly wouldn't be a bad choice.